As someone who has exclusively listened to Taylor Swift since July 2020, needless to say I was very excited for Fearless Taylor's version. Hi guys, my name is Jess. Welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. Today I'm going to be doing a very exciting video. I'm going to be recommending you a book for every single song on Fearless Taylor's version, the first of her re-recorded old albums. And I am very excited to share all of these book recs for you. I think I have matched up the books pretty well with the songs. I can't wait, so let's just get into it. So the first song on this album is obviously the title song, and that is Fearless. And for this song, I would like to recommend The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. The Simple Wild follows our main character Calla as she goes to Alaska where her dad is. Her and her dad don't really have a very good relationship. Her and her mom moved away to Canada when Calla was very little, but when she finds out her dad is sick and possibly doesn't have a super long time left to live, she goes there to rebuild her relationship with him. And while there, she meets this guy named Jonah. Jonah is very rough around the edges, but he does have a close personal relationship with her family. And as they get to know each other better despite their differences, they start to really be attracted to one another and fall in love. There was a lot to love about this book. I really enjoyed Calla as a main character, and I also really liked the family dynamics in this book. But the main reason that I'm pairing this book with this song is that I feel like this song has a lot of themes of your partner like pushing you outside of your typical boundaries. For example, the song says, "You take my hand, drag me head first, fearless and I don't know why, but with you I'd dance in a storm in my best dress." And I feel like this really embodies the relationship that Calla and Jonah have in The Simple Wild. Calla is very much a girly girl, very into dresses and makeup and just looking nice, but Jonah kind of pushes her outside of her usual boundaries and teaches her that she doesn't always need those things and she can kind of be both a rough and wild girl out in Alaska while also like maintaining who she is. I feel like Jonah really pushes Calla outside of her comfort zone, and I feel like that's a lot of what this song talks about, so I feel like they really make sense paired together. The next song on the album is 15, which is absolutely one of my favorites, and it means so much more too coming from a 31-year-old Taylor than from 18, 19-year-old Taylor. It was so emotional and like beyond her years when she originally rewrote it, but just like thinking about all the things she would tell her 15-year-old self at 31 just makes me so emotional. The book that it really reminds me of is To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is one of my favorite YA contemporary books, and it follows our main character, Laura Jean. And Laura Jean is very much a head in the clouds, hopeless romantic, which I feel like Taylor Swift definitely was at that age as well. But basically the plot of this book is Laura Jean has written all these letters to the boys that she's loved in the past, and it's her way of kind of letting go of them and moving on. But those letters actually end up getting sent in the mail mysteriously, and all of these boys that she loved in the past are coming back into her life and being like, "Why'd you write this letter about me?" And the story is really about Laura Jean navigating being a teenager, navigating like first love and crushes and all of that good stuff, and I feel like that is definitely what 15 is about. And I feel like writing letters to your lost loves is basically what Taylor does as well with writing these songs about her past relationships. So I feel like her and Laura Jean would really get along, and this book just embodies to me how it felt being in high school and all of that good stuff. So I feel like that song and this book pair so well together. Next is the classic song Love Story, probably one of the songs that launched Taylor's career the most. I absolutely love this song. It was one of my favorites as a kid and honestly really inspired me to start writing because I just thought it was such a beautiful like story, fairy tale kind of song. And the book that I want to recommend to go with this song is Princess Princess Ever After by Katie O'Neill. This is a sapphic fairy tale and it is a graphic novel. It follows one girl as she rescues a princess from her tower prison, kind of has Rapunzel vibes, and they join forces to defeat this sorceress and figure out how they can have a happily ever after with each other. This book has themes of royalty and forbidden romance, which is exactly what Love Story is about, so I feel like if you like Love Story you would love this graphic novel, and even if you don't, this graphic novel is one of my favorites. It is just so sweet and wholesome and magical, and that's how I feel about this song as well. Honestly, like, Love Story could be queer. I love reading Taylor Swift songs through a queer lens, and I feel like this book would be the perfect like parallel to reading Love Story through a queer lens, so we love it. That's my recommendation for that song. Next is Hey Stephen. This is such a fun, cute song. I love it so much. And the book that I'm going to recommend for this song is my favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. This is one of my favorite Christina Laurens. I feel like it's kind of one of their underrated ones, but I absolutely loved it. It basically follows our main character Millie, and Millie is just kind of one of the guys. She has this group of friends that she works with. They're all professors at this university. They're all her guy friends, and they're all like chronically single, so they make a bet with each other to find a date to this faculty function at the school. But after they make that pact, Millie and one of her guy friends, Reed, end up sharing a like half-night stand, but then decide that they would be better as platonic friends. Millie moves on. She tries to get on this dating service to find this date, but it's not really working out, so she makes another profile, which is like a catfish profile, and she ends up talking to Reed on there. So things get a little dramatic and mixed up, but this book was so much fun, and it was honestly really lighthearted and a quick read, and I feel like this song is also a pretty lighthearted song, and it's just a lot of fun. I feel like the song also has themes of like wanting to tell somebody you're into them, but being a little bit afraid to, or a little bit unsure of how they would react, and I feel like Millie really feels that way towards Reed. She thinks she has more feelings for him than he has for her, so I feel like those aspects really go with this song as well. Next is White Horse, and this is a very like sad, emotional song, as track 5s usually are, and you know I love my sad books, so this one was pretty easy for me to match a book to, and the book I'm going to recommend is The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth. This book follows our main character Cameron Post as she is coming to terms with her sexuality. In the very beginning of the book, her parents do pass away, and Cameron is very sad, but at the same time she is kind of glad that she never has to come out to them because Millie is— why do I keep calling her Millie? Because Cameron is discovering that she likes girls. She ends up moving in with her grandmother and her aunt, who are like hyper-religious, very conservative, and they end up finding out that Cameron is in a relationship with this girl. They send her off to a conversion therapy camp. We just really uncover the horrors of that kind of an experience. And like surface level, it might not make sense that I paired that with this song, but I feel like a lot of the individual lines within this song really match the vibes of Cameron Post as a book. For example, the line, "I'm not a princess, this ain't a fairy tale, this isn't Hollywood, this is a small town." Cameron Post lives in a very small town. There's these different expectations about how girls should act and who they should like and all of that kind of stuff, obviously. And also Cameron just realizing that the girl she's with isn't who she's meant to be with, even though she kind of gets swept up in it. It is not where she is meant to be. That is not the right person for her. Maybe I was lost in your eyes, naive, never really had a chance. But then by the end, she kind of comes into herself, realizes her worth. So I feel like that really matches the ending lines of this song where she's like, I'm gonna find someone someday who might actually treat me well. This is a big world that was a small town, in my rearview mirror disappearing now. That just perfectly encompasses the ending of Cameron Post. So I feel like there's a lot of elements that are very similar in this book and in this song. Next is You Belong With Me, which was honestly one of my least favorite songs on the album for a long time because I feel like it got really overplayed when I was younger and I just kind of fell out of love with it. But with these new re-recordings, I think she improved this song so much. I love the music in the background and the guitars and everything, and her voice just sounds so good, and I have rediscovered my love for this song, so I'm very happy about that. The book that I'm going to recommend for this song is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. Now, I personally don't really like this book very much, but I just had to recommend it because I feel like it goes really perfectly with this song. In this book, we're following Anna, and Anna goes to boarding school in France, and she meets this guy, Etienne. I don't know how to say his name because I don't speak French, but anyway, he's already in this relationship with this other girl. In Anna's opinion, this girl is not right for him. She is like shallow and just not as good as Anna, obviously. And that's basically what You Belong With Me is about. It's about this unrequited love with this guy who's in this other relationship with this other girl, and Taylor really feels like she would be perfect for this guy, but he's already in this other relationship. So I feel like Anna and the French Kiss is just like the perfect recommendation for this song. It is basically the same story, and even though I didn't love it, I have loved other books of Stephanie Perkins in this series, so I just don't love this one because it's got cheating in it. But the song kind of does too, so it is what it is. Next song is Breathe. When I was younger, I didn't love this song because I was just like, I can't breathe without you, gross. But I feel like there's a lot more to this song, actually. There's a lot of layers, and I really like it a lot more now than I did when I was younger, but it's definitely a very heavy and emotional song, and so obviously I have to recommend a heavy and emotional book, and I am going to recommend The Death of Vivek Oji by 𝗵𝗂𝗽 𝗏𝗍. This book follows our main character Vivek, and at the very beginning of the book, Vivek is found dead on their mother's doorstep. From there, it kind of goes backwards through the timeline of Vivek's life, trying to figure out what led to this horrible event and how exactly it happened. And in the story, Vivek really has a very strong relationship with their cousin, and I feel like their cousin would really relate to this song and would feel like it embodies their feelings towards Vivek and what happened to Vivek, and I feel like they just go together, and I'm gonna cry now. The next song is Tell Me Why, and for this I'm going to recommend Golden Boy by Abigail Tartellin. This is a book about an intersex teen. He's really seen as the golden boy of his family. Nobody really knows that he is intersex or what he is struggling with behind the scenes because he puts on this front. He's really good at soccer, he's pretty popular at school, but something really tragic happens and it sets off this chain of events that are just super devastating to his life. This is a very emotional book, but it is one of my favorites of all time, and I think it is so criminally underrated, so I will never stop yelling about it because I absolutely love this book. But I feel like a lot of the lines in Tell Me Why really describe how our main character feels. For example, you told me that you love me and you cut me down. I feel like that really describes his relationship with his mom. His mom in this book is honestly pretty fucking awful. She very much embodies that line. You could write a book about how to ruin someone's perfect day. I'm sick and tired of your reasons. I got no one to believe in. I feel like our main character really feels isolated throughout this story and is probably feeling a lot of the same emotions that are explained in this song, sad book, it works. Next is You're Not Sorry, and for this book I'm going to recommend Girl of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. Ashley Herring Blake is one of my all-time favorite authors, and The Girl Made of Stars is one that I don't feel like is talked about a lot, but basically it follows our main characters who are twins, Mara and Owen, and they've always been really close, so that is why Mara has a really difficult time when one of her friends accuses Owen of raping her. This book kind of goes through her struggles with believing her brother could do such a thing when she has always been really close to him, has always loved him a lot, and just how she responds to a situation like that. It is a very powerful book, and this is a very powerful song. Some of the lines in the song that drew me to recommending this book were, "You used to shine so bright, but I watched it all fade." I feel like that's how Mara really feels about Owen. He used to be like this really big light in her life, but then this terrible event happens and she kind of has to reconcile her previous image with who he really is and what he's capable of. The line, "You'll be thinking you're fine again, but not this time around." I think in the beginning Owen is really confused that his family isn't believing him, and he has to kind of grapple with that concept. And you can tell me that you're sorry, but I don't believe you. I feel like all of these powerful concepts and feelings are definitely present in Girl Made of Stars, so that is why I am recommending that book for this song. Next is The Way I Loved You, which is my personal favorite song on this album. I also love reading this song through a queer lens. Sapphic relationship versus like a heterosexual relationship and like the differences between them. Anyway, if anybody wants to chat about a queer Taylor Swift theory with me, definitely DM me, but that's not what this video is about. Anyway, after saying that, I'm going to recommend a heterosexual romance to go with this song, and that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This book follows these two main characters who work together in this office, and they always are like playing games on each other because they hate each other. They're always trying to get under one another's skin, but it turns out that they actually are very much attracted to each other, and it makes for some great sexual tension. And I just really love this book. This is one of my favorite romances of all time. I just think it is so well done and so fun. And I feel like Josh and Lucy really have that like tumultuous relationship that Taylor is describing in The Way I Loved You. Like, you're so in love that you act insane. That's the way I loved you. Breaking down and coming undone. It's a roller coaster kind of rush. Am I screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain? It's 2 a.m. and I'm cursing your name. I feel like that like passionate relationship is very much a factor in Josh and Lucy's relationship. So I feel like this song just goes with this book perfectly. Next song is Forever and Always, and for this song I'm going to recommend The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This book is a retelling of the classic myth of Patroclus and Achilles in Greece during the Age of Heroes. It takes place all the way from their childhood up until their adulthood and watches them turn from friends to lovers. But if you know the story, it has a tragic ending, obviously. So this song also, the relationship in this song also has a tragic ending. So I could not, I know I'm sorry, I'm mean, but they just go together, all right? So basically the lines, "It rains when you're here and it rains when you're gone." Patroclus and Achilles had a very like tumultuous relationship. It was kind of like codependent and not the healthiest, but it was very like passionate, you know? So I feel like that line really embodies that like back and forth aspect of their relationship. And so here's to everything coming down to nothing. Here's to silence that cuts me to the core. Where's this going? I don't know anymore. I feel like that also describes the tumultuous nature of their relationship. Patroclus was always very devoted to Achilles, but Achilles was a little bit more of like flighty and unpredictable. So I feel like that line just gets me too and describes the relationship, and it hurts. It hurts me. It hurts me. But this book is so good. You should definitely read it. For the best day, I am going to recommend The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. The Best Day is one of the most wholesome songs out there, and The House in the Cerulean Sea is one of the most wholesome books out there, so I couldn't not pair them together. The House in the Cerulean Sea basically follows our main character Arthur. Arthur is like this magical social worker, and he gets assigned to go to this island where this house with all these like misfit children creatures are, and I say that they're creatures because they're like magical creatures. They're kind of like sequestered off from the rest of society because they're seen as like a danger, but Arthur kind of goes there and figures out that maybe not being like everyone else isn't a bad thing, and that these kids are really just misunderstood misunderstood, and he comes to really fall in love with them, and he just has the best days on this island, and he realizes that he just hasn't been living life to the fullest. This is really his found family, and I just feel like it just goes perfectly together. Like, if you listen to that song and read this book, you will cry. You will sob tears because they're both just like warm my heart. Oh my god. And the last non-bonus track song on the album is Change, and for that song I'm going to recommend The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abigail. This book follows our main character Aduni, who is a young Nigerian girl, and her biggest dream in life is to learn how to read and to get educated, but her family is really down on their luck, so her father ends up selling her into this marriage, and it is a very abusive, horrible, terrible marriage. Aduni eventually escapes, but she kind of just escapes one bad situation for another and ends up in another abusive relationship, even though this time she has a job. But then she comes across this opportunity to go to school, and it is all she's ever dreamed of, so she risks a lot to try and accomplish this goal. And this book is just incredibly well written. I loved it so much. I would recommend it to absolutely everyone. The writing style is really cool because in the very beginning, Aduni's voice is definitely kind of like broken English, very much has dialect included in it, but as we go on through the novel, her English gets better as she learns more English, and I just think it's a really cool way to write a story, and it made Aduni's voice so strong and really just made her character very rich and fun to read about. But I feel like this has a lot of the same themes as the song Change. Change really talks about like fighting the good fight, starting a revolution, and I feel like those are themes that are very much present in Aduni's character. I really love the lines, "These walls that they put up to hold us back will fall down. It's a revolution, the time will come for us to finally win." If that's not Aduni, I don't know what is. Oh my god, I love it. And it's so hard to fight when the fight ain't fair, but we're getting stronger now. Tonight we'll stand, get off our knees, fight for what we've worked for all these years. The battle was long, it's the fight of our lives, we'll stand up champions tonight. Oh my god, it just makes me so emotional because I feel like that is Aduni in this book, and I just feel like they fit so perfectly together. So if you love Change, I would really recommend this book to you. Alright, now for the bonus tracks. Jump Then Fall is the first one, and honestly it's one of my favorites. This was my alarm song like for my entire 7th grade year. I absolutely was obsessed with this song, and I still am. I don't know how I woke up to this song every day and I'm still not sick of it, but I just think it is so much fun. I love it so much. It's just another one that's like sweet and wholesome and cute. And so the book that I'm going to recommend for this song is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is another of my favorite Christina Laurens, and it follows our main characters Josh and Hazel. They knew each other back in college. Josh was like Hazel's TA. Hazel has always been very like quirky and wild and out there and too much basically for a lot of men. And Josh is like basically the opposite. He's pretty tight-laced and like calm, down to earth, but they kind of reconnect later on in life and form this friendship, and they set each other up on all these blind double dates they go on together, and they just get increasingly worse because they both figure out that they are attracted to one another. And it is just like a really cute, wholesome, sweet romance, and I really love the characters. A lot of people like think Hazel is kind of annoying, but I liked her. I thought she was fun. Some lines that I feel like in this song that really embody Josh and Hazel's relationship are like, "I watched you talk, you didn't notice. I hear the words, but all I can think is we should be together." I feel like Hazel really thinks that about Josh. She might not acknowledge that to herself, but that is basically what's going on in her head at all times. "Every time you smile, I smile. Every time you shine, I'll shine for you." It's so cute. This song is just perfect for Josh and Hazel. It is like their soundtrack because it is just adorable and sweet and fun, and so is this book. Next is Untouchable, and for this song I'm going to recommend Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. I feel like this song is a little bit darker and more emotional, and I feel like Emergency Contact, while like a young adult, new adult temporary, is a little bit darker in tone, and so I feel like it really fits that song in that way. But basically this book follows our main characters Penny and Sam, and when they cross paths, it's not exactly meet cute. Sam actually ends up taking Penny to the hospital but they exchange numbers and they end up texting back and forth and really getting to know each other that way without like the pressure of being in person, and they end up falling pretty hard for one another even though they don't hang out in person all that much. And I feel like those themes are very much present in the song Untouchable as well, because it's kind of about someone that's untouchable, and Penny and Sam aren't really seeing each other in person, so they're like untouchable to each other in that way. Sam is also kind of like forbidden from Penny because he's her like roommate's cousin or something, and her roommate tells her from the beginning like hang out with Sam, like don't be that girl or something, I don't know. But So I feel like that kind of plays into it a little bit as well. But some lines that I feel like really embody Sam and Penny's relationship. It's like, in the middle of the night, waking up from this dream, I want to be by your side. A lot of times they're like texting very late into the night, and like sharing secrets and connecting that way. Also, you're untouchable, burning brighter than the sun. Now that you're close, I feel like coming undone. When Sam and Penny do start to meet and interact, it's very like intense, passionate sort of relationship. So I feel like this song just really embodies this book. Next song is Come In With the Rain, and for this song, I'm going to recommend the book Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno. In this book, we are following two twin sisters, and they live on this like island where a lot of people come in the summertime to birdwatch. They have this bird that doesn't appear anywhere else other than this island, and this island also has some magic on it. Our main characters, their family is, all the women in their family are magical, and they usually get their power by the time they turn 18, but the girls' birthdays are coming up this summer, and one sister has her powers and the other sister does not. She kind of thinks she is never going to get any powers, and she is very lost because her sister is going off to college that fall, and they have always been together. She doesn't really know how to exist without her, but she's also worried about her sister because her sister has drawn into herself this summer and she won't tell her what is going on, and this bird that's supposed to come every summer is also not showing up. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this book. It is a magical realism YA story, and it's very, very beautifully written. I love it a ton, and I feel like the song just kind of has the same vibes as this book. It's a little sad, it's a little bit quiet, and I feel like it really embodies the sister relationship between the two more than anything. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the book that I'm going to recommend for this song. Next is Superstar, and so for that, I'm going to recommend Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins. This book definitely has elements of being in love with somebody who is like semi-famous. Our main character, Daisy, her sister is engaged to be married to the Prince of Scotland, and so there is a lot of paparazzi surrounding Daisy's sister and Daisy's family, and they start to come after Daisy. So they send Daisy to Scotland to kind of live in the castle with her sister and her fiance and just kind of like get her manners brushed up. And so while there, she meets Miles, and Miles is like the prince's brother's best friend, and he is like kind of tasked with teaching her to be prim and proper and royal, etc., and they end up falling in love, and it's really cute. And the banter in this book is literally unmatched. This is one of my favorite YA contemporaries of all time. It is so freaking cute. It's just perfect. Like, I love it so much. If you haven't read it and you like royalty romances, you definitely should. And yeah. Next song is The Other Side of the Door, which is probably my favorite of the original bonus tracks. I love this song so much, especially like the fast part at the end. It's like addicting. I love it. I just remember like being in middle school and like listening to it over and over again, like just that part so I could memorize the lyrics. I've been a Taylor stan since the beginning, okay? Anyway, the book I'm recommending for this song is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book follows our main character, Danny, and Danny and Zaph are like work friends, and when there's a fire drill in her building, Danny gets stuck in the elevator and Zaph comes and rescues her. He carries her bridal style out of the building and somebody films them, and then the whole internet thinks they're dating. They decide to kind of run with this fake dating scheme because it is really helping give publicity to Zaph and his charity. And then Danny schemes and gets Zaph to agree to a friends with benefits kind of situation because she has not had sex in a while and she wants to, so... But then obviously they end up falling in love, and I am recommending this book for this song because Danny is very much kind of sending mixed signals to Zaph in this book because she is very much like a commitment phobe. She doesn't want to be in a relationship, but she obviously really likes Zaph, and Zaph is like a very like romantic person, and so he wants to be with her. And I feel like the line like, "'Cause I'm so mad I might tell you that it's over, but if you look a little closer, I said leave, but all I really want is you to stand outside my window throwing pebbles screaming I'm in love with you." Like, even though Danny says she wants Zaph to leave her, she really wants him to be with her. Also the line, "Me and my stupid pride sitting here alone. I keep going back over the things I said and remember slamming door the things I misread. So babe, if you know everything, tell me why you couldn't see when I left that I wanted you to chase after me." That was definitely like the third act conflict in this book. To a T. One of the last lines after everything, "I confess I need you." That's this book in a nutshell. They fit so perfectly together, so if you love that song like I do, I definitely recommend you read this book. It is another of my favorite romances of all time. Now we're getting into like the vault songs from Taylor, although this isn't a vault song, it's just like a song that wasn't on the original album. Anyway, today's fairy tale is next, and for this song I'm going to recommend The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This is another super sweet graphic novel, and I feel like this is like a super sweet sugary song, and so that's why I had to recommend this like super sweet sugary book. This book follows this prince kids. He has a lot of expectations from his family, but one of his favorite things to do is to go out dressed as a lady, and his like seamstress dressmaker friend in the castle creates these beautiful dresses for him to wear when he goes out, and they end up having this like little cute friendship to lovers romance, and it's just perfection. This is one of my favorite graphic novels of all time. It is just so sweet, and I feel like the dressmaker really creates like a fairy tale for this prince, and I feel like it really embodies their relationship, and it's just so cute. And I love the lines like, "Today was a fairy tale, I wore a dress, you wore a dark gray t-shirt, you told me I was pretty when I looked like a mess." I don't know, it's just so cute, and I think it just embodies this book perfectly, and so I would very much recommend. Now, actual vault songs, the first of which is "You All Over Me." I absolutely love this song, and I love the parallels between it versus like Clean from 1989. Like, I just love the lyrical parallels between those two books, or those two songs. The book that I'm going to recommend for this song is Featured by Emily Henry, and this book basically follows these two writers. They write very different genres. Gus writes literary fiction, and January writes romance, chick lit kind of books. They end up moving into beach houses right next to each other. They have this like tumultuous history. They already know each other going in, but they end up daring each other to write what the other writes for a summer, and they kind of take each other on these little like dates to inspire them and show them how they do research for their writing, that kind of thing. And even though they hate each other at first, they start to fall for each other throughout the story. Although this song doesn't really have a happy ending and this book does, I feel like it kind of describes their relationship throughout the book. Gus and January definitely didn't like each other the whole time, and definitely kind of had differing like emotional states throughout the book. And I feel like the line "The best and worst day of June was the one I met you with your hands in your pockets, and in Don't you wish you had me grin." Gus is kind of like full of himself a little bit. So I feel like that describes him. And then, "But then I did, so I smiled, melted like a child. Now every breath of air I breathe reminds me of you." And I feel like in the end, that is Gus and January. And this book is very good as this song. And so that is the book I'm recommending for this song. Next song, Mr. Perfectly Fine. Joe Jonas really is just providing us with the best music ever. Like, at least he's good for something. But listen to this song and tell me it is not about Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Like, just do it. I dare you. Tell me that it's not about him, because it is about him. I guarantee you. Like, Mr. Everything Revolves Around You, looking fine in a well-pressed suit, and just like the emotional stuntedness of Mr. Darcy as well is just perfectly elaborated in this song. I'm just talking like you know what Pride and Prejudice is about, but it's basically about our girl Elizabeth Bennet, and the Darcys move in across the street from Elizabeth and her family. Elizabeth and her family are kind of down on their luck a little bit, but the Darcys are very rich, and Elizabeth's sister actually falls in love with one of the Darcys. His brother, Mr. Darcy, who I'm talking about, is very like standoffish and kind of rude, honestly, when they first meet, but it all turns out to be a big misunderstanding because he is really just like a sweetheart and emotionally stunted and doesn't know how to communicate very well, and they end up falling in love. And this song is about Mr. Darcy. It is, I'm sorry. Next song is We Were Happy. This is a very emotional, sad song, and for this song, I'm going to recommend We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. This book basically follows our main character, Henry, and Henry is abducted by aliens, and the aliens give him an ultimatum. They tell him that he has so many days to decide whether he's going to save the world or whether he's going to let the aliens annihilate the world. This is not as easy of a proposition as one might think, as Henry is really in a bad spot. He is no longer happy because very recently, like, his mother has gotten sick, he is very down on his luck, and a month ago his boyfriend committed suicide, so Henry is just really not feeling happy. And throughout this book he reminisces on times when he was happy, which I feel like goes with this song, because this song is talking about being happy in the past, and Henry was happy in the past but he's not happy in the present. So that's my thought process for recommending this book for that song. This is a very good book, but it's definitely very sad, so just prepare yourself going in. But you should do that with pretty much any book I recommend, unless I say that it's happy specifically, because I'm a sad bitch. Next song is That's When, and for that I would like to recommend Dear Ava by Isla Madden Mills. This book follows our main character, and I don't remember her name because I don't remember anybody's name. Basically, she had something really traumatic happen to her the year before, and she kind of took a little bit off of school, but then she comes back her senior year. She's determined to not let that event define her, but she is determined to avoid all of like the popular jock boys who put her in this situation in the first place. She starts to get closer to this one guy who she definitely does not want to get close to but she kind of can't help being drawn to him. She's also getting these notes in her locker from the secret admirer, and we find out as a reader pretty early on that it is this same guy, but she doesn't know that. But this is just a really cute book because despite all of her efforts to like avoid him and not get in a relationship with him, he really ends up like being her person and being like the perfect one for her. And I feel like that's pretty similar to the vibes of this song. The song is basically like saying, when can we get back together? When can we be together? And the chorus is basically like, anytime. Like, when I wake up in the morning, that's when we can get back together. When I do this or that, the other thing, that's when we can get back together. And I feel like that very much encompasses the relationship in this book because they are just like soulmates. They're perfect for each other. And even though they like fight and she tries to push him away, they always kind of come back to each other, whatever the time, whatever the situation. So there we go. That's the recommendation for that song. Next is Don't You. And this song is really about like seeing somebody that you used to have a thing for and you're not really moved on from them, even though they're moved on. It really like just hurts seeing them be alright when you're not alright. And for this song, I'm going to recommend Him by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This is a male-male romance that I read very recently, and I feel like it very much is that story. Our two main characters used to be friends as kids, but then something happened that kind of tore them apart and they are no longer in contact, but they both play hockey and they end up at the same hockey game tournament. I don't know sports. Anyway, and they kind of like reconnect. I feel like that initial meeting between the two is definitely like embodies this song because he goes to his hotel room and there's another girl there hooking up with him. Like the lines, I knew I'd run into you somewhere. It's been a while. I didn't mean to stare. I heard she's nothing like me. I'm sure she'll make you happy. That's really how that first initial meeting goes. It's like exactly almost. And don't say you've missed me if you don't want me again. Our main character really still has feelings for his friend, even though they haven't really been in contact for a while and he doesn't really know how his friend feels about him, and he tries to go on with his life. It makes me sad, but it's like perfect. It's perfect for this book. So this book is definitely just like fluff and is low-key written through like the straight female gaze, but it's real good. It was pretty good. It was just a fun time. So, and then finally, the very last song on the album is Bye Bye Baby. And for that, I'm going to recommend Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is a gothic horror book, which is totally not the vibe of Fearless, but hear me out. So basically this book follows our main character, Noemi, and Noemi's cousin sends her this really strange letter. Noemi's cousin has recently gotten married to this man and lives with this man's family in this old house. So Noemi goes to see if her cousin is doing all right, see if she needs help, and so she gets to this home and there is definitely something weird going on. But this book does include a romance between Noemi and the guy that her cousin is married to, his cousin, and it's a really very sweet romance, but it's very like a conflicted romance because Noemi really wants to get the fuck out of that house, but she really loves him, so she's kind of conflicted about like how she can take him with her, but if she has to get out of there and not take him, then that's what she's gonna do because first priority is getting the heck out of there. But I actually feel like a lot of the lines in this song kind of fit because this is kind of a very melancholy song and this is a melancholy book. For example, the line "Lost in the gray, I tried to grab hold of the fray because you took me home and you just couldn't keep me." There's a lot of like elements of like a home that's not quite right in this song, and that's definitely what this book is about a creepy like weird house, as well as the line "You're all I want but it's not enough. I'm so scared of how this ends." Like the vibes might not match, but I feel like the lyrics definitely go with the elements of this book, and I just think it's a really fun recommendation and I think it honestly fits really well. So those are all of the books that I recommend for every song on Fearless Taylor's version. Definitely go stream Taylor's version of Fearless. Fuck Scooter Braun and fuck Scott Borchetta. That's all I've got to say. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below if you agree with any of my recs or if you disagree with any of them and what you would recommend instead. I would love to know because I know some of these are probably a stretch, but this video was so much fun and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching it. I really appreciate it. If you want to hang out with me more often, I do talk about music a lot more on Twitter and Instagram, so definitely follow me over there if you're interested. If you made it all the way through this video, definitely give me a yellow heart because Fearless, obviously. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. All relevant links will be in the description, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.